Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Marie Briel.
And I'm Heidi Henry coming to you from two socially distant studios at the edge of the Great Red Divide. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we bring you the news and views of progressivism and democracy from our point of view. We'd like to invite you to look at all of our previous episodes at Heartland Mamas, MAMAS.com, on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and proudly part of the Demcast USA network. So, Murray, we've had almost a week to digest the insurrection at the Capitol. And you know that I am still absolutely livid about what happened. Everything from the feces and the urine smeared all over the Capitol, which is just shows you the level of disgusting piggery that went on, to the assholiness of the Republicans locally and in Washington that are still committed to. This was just a riot. This was just a riot, and Antifa, which there's no such thing, but BLM does it all the time, so it must be okay. And Marie, you know that they had help from within. This was definitely a partial inside job. And today we're going to discuss some of the derelict characters that have had their hand in part and parcel to this event. So let's go ahead, Marie, and discuss that.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we've started to see come to light over the last few days is the true level of insidiousness of this attack,
Yeah.
and the more that comes to light, also the more details we learn. We learn that they had all of the maps of the tunnels. We learn
Yep.
that they had detailed information about where the offices were, that there
Yep.
were people guiding them to the offices.
Yes.
So, the fact, the sheer fact that knowing that this was coming, this protest, that I've never ever seen a protest ever with as little security presence, and especially in a city like DC, it was really surreal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't surprising. So from that to lawmakers huddling, begging the son-in-law of the president of the United States and the chief of staff to get help and being ignored, uh, there was something that was going on. The governor of Maryland offered assistance, he was denied. So we know that there are multiple levels within the federal government and within local law enforcement that were not on the side of democracy that day.
No, they were part. They were part of the fascist coup, and it's very disheartening to learn about all of the retired and active duty military, all the retired and active law enforcement that were off duty, and some on duty, that were part and parcel to this insurrection, this armed, violent, attempted coup. And the fact that the investigation is ongoing, this could take weeks, months, even years to find and capture all of the people involved because, Murray, we know not all of the bad guys went to Washington. They were in command centers around the United States because they had planned on taking over
Multiple state
state capitals
houses.
as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. And this is an ongoing threat. So, but at the
That's
time,
something we need to make
this
sure
was
that everyone
known.
understands, is that this is not a one-time threat, that this has been going
Nope.
on for months since they ran their first
Planning.
test run with attempting to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Whitmer.
We have seen an
Yeah.
escalation when, Donald Trump did not condemn the acts of attacking and plotting to kidnap and murder a sitting governor. When he
Yeah.
refused to denounce that behavior, that was another signal. That was a, hey, I'm throwing up the flare here. You're not going to get in trouble for that. And yes, the plot was caught beforehand. Unfortunately, not like this plot.
Yeah.
And there was only one group involved in that. And what we have to really make sure we understand is that it's not just one group we're dealing with, like the Michigan insurrection. We are dealing with multiple militia or conspiracy or racist groups, all different,
Yes.
converging and trying to accomplish the same thing. So it's not organized. I think it would be less terrifying if it was organized, because then you would have an idea that this is the plan that's most likely going to happen, instead of there being so many crazies you don't know which way they're coming from.
Marie, it reminds me a lot of Hitler's first attempt to take over Germany in the 30s and how they put that down, but they didn't kill all the roots. They just put down what happened in the 30s. And then, sure enough, in 10 years, he is the dictator of Nazi Germany, and fascism takes over all of Eastern Europe. And
And Heidi,
when you
you
look
nailed
at
it.
this,
I
yeah,
think there is a very good point that you just made. Except I don't believe that Trump will come back in 4 years,
he's old and he's
because
fat.
he's old and he'll probably be dead. But I do believe that if it is not ended or squashed, that we will
Completely.
see it continue to grow and rear its ugly head and get more and more unstable in the younger sycophants who are following him to their death. Think
Yeah,
about this:
yeah,
representatives, senators are begging for someone to get the president, the leader of their party, to get help for them under violent attack.
right.
And he did nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. Pence finally called out the National Guard. Pence finally did it because we've all seen, and if you haven't seen this, I don't know where you've been. We've all seen that Trump gave that speech directing people to go to the Citadel, to the Capitol, the People's House, and take over. And he said he would lead the way, which of course that fat old man is not going to waddle all the way down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Citadel. He went to his command post, which was not inside the White House, but in a tent on the outside of the White House, on the White House grounds, to watch it unfold on big screen TVs. And there was drinking and there was partying, and of course, no masks, and everybody was like, woo! I mean, Kimberly Guilfoyle is just dancing to the fact that people are dying,
No,
dying.
wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to contradict you, but I thought that what we saw, the video that has been released, was waiting. It was the time right before Donald Trump spoke to the
Is
mob.
that it?
Yeah,
Okay, so I
it was the
apologize if I
moments
got that wrong.
before, but they were doing exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're all Trump.
right, and the accounts of him being glued to TV and
He didn't
not
lead the
responding.
insurrection. Yeah, he didn't lead the insurrection down Pennsylvania Avenue. He led by making phone calls, trying to get Tommy Tuberville to change his vote to go along with the insurrection. I mean, there's a phone call log now that shows that both Giuliani, who called the wrong person, and Trump were making phone calls still during the riot, during the insurrection, to
I'd
try
love
to
to
get the
see
vote
what other senators
certification
he
overturned.
was doing that to. What other senators were getting those calls and we just don't know yet?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we don't know yet, but we know that they most
Oh,
likely
I'm sure.
happened. And
I'm
we
going to guess
also
they
know
did.
that yeah, well, and the thing is that you have senators that really doubled down, 6 of them. The most egregious being Hawley and Cruz, which will probably lose their careers over this. You have
We
Gates
hope.
and Jordan.
We hope they do, but there
Yeah,
doesn't
we
seem
hope.
to be. Yes, I was really excited to see that corporate America is coming out and saying, "Oh no, we're not standing for this." I thought that was amazing. That was great. That may be the only
Yeah.
leverage that anyone has right now
Well,
over the evils that are there. And I can under okay, I think you're right. I think it was absolutely awful that they continued to go ahead and vote to overturn. I will give
mhm.
just a tiny bit of latitude to those that did for not understanding the magnitude of what had occurred.
How could you not understand that?
Honey,
Listen,
we're
those
talking about
senators,
Republicans here, okay? We're talking about the
yeah.
GOP. They don't under they don't they're pretty dumb. You got to remember
If
that.
if it hadn't been for one police officer that drew the fire, if you will,
Officer Goodman.
from yeah, Mr. Goodman, Officer Goodman, if he had not taken them and distracted them, they would have entered the Senate chambers while there were still senators inside, and we would have had greater loss of life because we know, Marie, we know that they came with the intent of hanging Mike Pence, of hanging Nancy Pelosi by installing the gallows outside. There was the zip tie guy whose job was to catch them because they've caught zip tie guy and zip tie guy is talking. And so is big horned monster guy. He's talking too. And they're starting to turn on each other and feed on each other, and more information is coming out. So their idea was to capture Pelosi and Pence, hang them outside, and then hang or kill every single Democrat and any Republican that they deemed unworthy. This is the level of danger these people are in. And then you have people like Boebert, Lauren Boebert, the brand new 2 day old congresswoman who can't even keep her frickin' mouth shut in there texting her base where they are in hiding, where the speaker, Madam Speaker, is at. This woman deserves to go to prison for that. There is no forgiveness for
No, I
for
agree.
Congresswoman
And
Boebert.
I don't know if there is
And
forgiveness for any of them. I'm saying that maybe
no,
in the
no.
delusion of the
If you give
moment and the lack of intelligence that they had, maybe they didn't understand the significance of what had occurred. But once you've had 24 hours
no,
after you have experienced something so traumatic as what happened at the Capitol on July, why do I keep saying July? A week ago. When you look at that, there is absolutely not one logical, comprehensive reason not to stand up and say that was wrong. I was wrong. We need to stop this now. And that's the problem
well,
is they're continuing pushing
they're
this
doubling,
narrative.
tripling down.
To me, okay, so maybe it's Stockholm syndrome. Maybe it's unbridled greed and debauchery. Maybe it is fear that the supporters will come after them. But whatever the
Well, I think with
case
Mike Pence it is.
is, it is
Yeah,
time to take a stand. And it shows how incredibly weak these legislators are, and every one of them needs to
no
go.
fine.
And I'm talking, we
Yeah,
need to examine very closely, from our school boards to our city councils to our county boards
yeah.
and state legislatures. And it is imperative that every single one of these, Darren Bailey denying laws are there for a reason. Any one of them who's questioning the rule of law or who does not believe in the Constitution should be completely disqualified and immediately removed from office at every
Well,
level.
Murray, you and I've talked about my sitting senator, Sue Resin, who I ran against because she's worthless. She doesn't do anything. She just votes however Mike Madigan tells her, which is really weird because she claims that she's a Republican, but we know that she's in Mike Madigan's pocket willingly and she loves it there. And I wasn't, so I got kicked out. Anyway, um, she has yet to make a statement condemning this insurrection. I have not
Yeah.
seen any Republicans condemn this insurrection in my local government, in my state government. The mayor of Marseilles has doubled down on that this is just a riot. It's just a riot. And he is supposed to be a law and order. He flies a Blue Lives Matter flag, which we know is a
Blue Lives
QAnon
flag.
dog whistle.
It's not a QAnon
It's
dog
been
whistle. The Blue
co-opted.
Lives Matter flag is a racist dog whistle. Let's face it.
Yes.
When Officer
Yep.
Skilkind was murdered, brutally murdered in
Murder.
the Capitol,
Murder.
trying to
Yep.
defend against insurgents, Blue Lives didn't matter then. I didn't hear Blue
Nope.
Lives Matter. I didn't hear any criticisms about the hordes or the rioters or so don't tell me Blue Lives Matter is about anything other than blatant racism because that's all it's
Racism.
about. Blue
It
Lives
is
Matter equals
all
the
it's
it
about.
equals a tiki torch and a white sheet.
That's oh, you're exactly right. Except that they don't bother with the sheets anymore. It's khakis and a white. Well, I don't know
Polo.
that all of them had khakis and polo. They now wear Q shirts and Trump gear. And the whole thing is, as I've told you, Marie, over and over again, the schooling to help these Trump supporters become fascists, not just Republicans, but fascist Republicans, is by replacing our United States flag with Trump flags. And what is the first thing they did when they took over the Capitol? They lowered the United States flag and replaced it with a Trump flag. That is disturbing at a level even greater than parading the Nazi flag and the Confederate flag through the halls of Congress. Uh, that's
Really?
that's fascism, Murray. When you're dedicated to one person, not an ideology, not your flag, not your country. You're dedicated to one person, and that is Trump. And he wants to be a fascist dictator. That's what he wants. He wants it for himself, kind of a little monarchy thrown in because he wants his kids to be part of that. But we have to look at um, Nazism
Which falls right in line
right
with
here in
white
Illinois.
supremacy and racism, which is why we saw
Exactly.
those loyal Trump followers with the 6 million was not enough T-shirts and the Camp Auschwitz T-shirts and white supremacy encompasses all of those things, and that is exactly what we see.
Murray, when Mary Miller, Congresswoman from downstate Illinois, good friend of Darren Bailey, DB, the guy that wants to be
Passed
our
out
next
on the
governor,
House
Republican
floor
governor.
over the weekend and had to be
Oh,
taken to the
oh,
emergency room because he was
he needed
fasting
a
for
faint
religious
couch.
reasons because the country needed
Faint couch.
prayer. So he's fasting to
Yeah,
save the country. Yeah, all right, jackass.
we had, yeah, he needed a fainting couch. Maybe he could have borrowed one from Lindsey Graham.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Lindsay probably had a couple extras.
but Lindsey's got a few extras,
He's got to have
and
a portable one. Is that like a portable lawn chair?
and
Flip it out and Lindsay
oh my
faints
God, we
on it.
know, like on the Golden Girls.
Yeah,
You
is
know,
it a
I was
portable fainting couch?
I was thinking about Lindsey being heckled through the airport on his way home. He signed the death warrant for Pence. You know he did. He took Pence and he's like, kill him. He didn't say those words exactly, but he called him disloyal. And disloyal is a dog whistle. Mike Pence won't do the 25th Amendment, but Mike Pence can never stop looking over his shoulder because of the Trump supporters are coming for him. They're coming for him. He has been nothing but loyal, a loyal sycophant for Trump this entire time, doing a ceremonial constitutional duty by rubber stamping the election results. Like he gets a choice. He doesn't get a choice under constitutional law. He doesn't get a choice. But they are going to hunt him down like a dirty dog the rest of his life. And you know it, and I know it. Just like Lindsey Graham. I don't know how many, we're watching the cannibalism within the Republican Party as this sick, twisted, sycophant group turns on the ones that are not as fascist as they are. It's not as fascist Republican as they are. But I wanted to bring it back to here in Illinois because we had a couple of um, our own people, our own Illinoisans that went to the mat for Donald Trump. And one of those would be Mary Miller. And Mary Miller, her second day, friend of Darren Bailey, after being sworn into Congress, Congresswoman from downstate Cole County, Illinois. Near Xenia, where Darren lives, Darren Bailey, she decided to quote Hitler on the floor of the U.S. Congress. Hitler, a man that killed at least 6 million Jews, at least 12 million people worldwide. Just the Jews in the concentration camps and the gypsies, the Romani that he killed, Not to mention all the people that died in the war, in World War II, the war my dad fought in, the war your dad fought in, the wars. You know, I think about those men that I went on honor flight with my dad in 2015, who fought fascism from coming to the United States, who were at Normandy, who were at Omaha Beach, who helped liberate the Auschwitz. And I think about Mary Miller standing there talking about Hitler in glowing terms about how we have to appeal to the youth. And Mary Miller, I want you to know that how Hitler came to power again was by brainwashing the youth
Which
into
is, I mean,
fascism.
that's a whole issue and a whole topic that we are going to cover. And one of my big passions is, you mentioned something as you were talking, Heidi, and it brought me to, you said the flag and patriotic indoctrination. And if we did
Yeah,
not indoctrinate our children in a patriotic manner, the Trump flags wouldn't have the significance that they do. There's
right.
no reason that we can't have pride as a nation and understanding, but we indoctrinate. And I love everything Trump says. He is doing himself. Like he talks about patriotic education, right? And the more he talks about patriotic education, the more that's what we currently have. We have a system that is designed to pledge loyalty without thought. And that is our education system. And that is the reiteration of that. And I think that that's something we're going to have to really look at moving forward in our education is not only what really happened, actual
Murray,
facts, multiple perspectives, but
I,
also,
yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with you. You're talking about the Pledge of Allegiance, correct?
mhm.
Every day you say it in school. The people who, the insurrectionists at the Capitol, did not pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
Uh-oh. Ah, sorry about that. I believe that.
for all. None
Oh,
of that
Heidi, hold
mattered.
on. Try again. You froze for me on a minute. You froze a minute. Go ahead.
Well, what I'm saying is this, if you take apart the Pledge of Allegiance and you think about how that mattered to the insurrectionists, none of it mattered.